Hey guys, welcome back to yet another Marketers Mindset podcast. Again, I am your host, Daniel. I am the content director here at DashClicks. And today I bring you an amazing fellow. His name is Franco Urbaez, owner of Pepper, coming out from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Franco, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it, man. Chad's a really good friend of mine, so happy to be here.
Yeah, Chad's a great dude. So I'm glad we was able to connect us and jump on this together. So my first question for you is, so what is it that you actually do and how do you generate revenue? Do you have more than one revenue stream?
100%. Yeah. I'm very big on having multiple different revenue streams. So I go way back and then going a little bit more,
Yeah, sure.
today. But I actually do have a trucking company. That's $1 million business that I do nothing in anymore.
What?
Right. And so I've had that for like a long while. So that's been pretty good to us. And then so I'm like a hardcore entrepreneur all around because we have a software company, as you know, Pepper, and
Yeah.
we had a marketing agency, and now I do coaching for agency owners, helping them get to 6 and 7 figures. Pepper is the big thing right now. Limitless Agency is our mastermind, and in those two worlds, they kind of help each other because Pepper is a software that we developed to help people get clients on Facebook through automation on
Mm.
Facebook. And our clients actually use that because they use Pepper to actually get clients for themselves, right?
You
So
know, it's weird. I haven't actually heard. You might be the first software I've heard that does like Facebook prospecting. People listening probably are like, no, there's a bunch of these, but I haven't really heard of
Pepper
Facebook
was the
prospecting.
first. I remember when I first developed Pepper, I was in my office. We had like a little 10 by 10 office and stuff. And I remember when somebody gave me one of the developers gave me the prototype for Pepper and it was working. And I was like, literally, I had date night that Wednesday night. And so I was like driving home from the office and like my hands were shaking driving home because I was the only person out of 8 billion people on the planet that could actually automate prospecting on Facebook. Like no
Wow.
one else had ever done it. And then I was like freaking out. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I won a lottery ticket. And so I had like a really strong competitive advantage for like 6 months until we ended up releasing her to the public. I figured that I shouldn't be the only one with that power. So
Yeah, I mean, I use Pepper for DashClicks, and I found it to just be like phenomenal. Even just like even a simple copy and pasting reference feature, I found it to be like saving me so much time. When did you start? Well, I know you're doing a bunch of different things, but when did you start doing the entrepreneur thing? Like, when did
yeah,
you start all this?
yeah. So back in 2017, I was actually we're coming up on like 5 years of like me into the world of digital marketing, stepping into that world because I was in the logistics world for a very, very long time. And I was actually like a warehouse manager at Uline for a period of
Oh
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
life,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Yeah.
um when I got out of there, I was just like I was making $27 an hour. They pay you a whole bunch of crap ton of bonuses and stuff like that, like $15,000 bonuses and stuff like that. It's like a golden handcuffs trap to keep you in. And I remember I was sitting there just scanning boxes and I was like, yo, I'm like literally a chimpanzee could be doing what I'm doing right now. I was like, I just dying inside
And
of
you're
it.
getting $15,000 bonuses?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
What?
Because they just had the money and they just wanted the talent, but to do very stupid, very mundane things. And I thought I was dying inside. It was like a prison, like I was just going every single day. I was just like dying inside. And I was just like, okay, so I had my eyes open, my eyes peeled for,
Yeah.
another opportunity. And it came along. I don't know if you're familiar with Ty Lopez at all.
Oh, he's like the first guy I knew of getting into
First guy
this.
I knew of, exactly. Everyone, everyone heard of Tyler. He's like the person that got people into the world. And I remember when I first met him, it was a webinar, my very first webinar, and I was thinking like while I was watching this, I was like, the guy's an idiot. Like he's like misspelling stuff on his things, whatever the case is. Yet he's there in a mansion and I'm here in a prison, right? So I'm like, okay, let me just listen. And it's the first time I actually bought something. I was like $1,000, my first 997 course. I'm gonna like my
Yeah.
whole life's gonna change. I'm gonna be rich, all that stuff, right? And
Oh my
so
God.
I
Yeah.
ended up quitting my job very, probably way too soon. And I liquidated my 401k and like I had $18,000 saved up in like the 3 years that I worked at Uline
Mhm.
in my 401k. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start up a marketing agency. I did all the things, cold calling, door-to-door sales, pre-COVID, all that stuff, and ended up losing $18,000 in 4 months. And I had no income and I
Oof.
had no cash at all. I
Oh God.
gambled on a credit card, and I said, okay, I'm gonna go to Funnel Hacking Live at an event, and I was there, right?
Oh my God.
My first FHL, right? And I remember Russell Brunson up there pitching. I was a fanboy at that point because, like, to Russell Brunson, and when he was pitching there, that's when he actually broke, one of the world records for like the most amount of money made in like 90 minutes or something like that. And I was one of the purchasers, right? Like one of the consumers.
That's
And I
cool.
remember sitting them there, and I texted my wife. I was like, "Babe, Russell's pitching me. Like, what do I do? Right? There's nothing I can do." And she's like, "How much is it?" Right? And then I was like, "Please don't be $5,000 a month. Please don't be 5,000." And it was $1,800 a month, more than our mortgage. And I texted her that, and she's like, "I trust you, baby." So I jumped into that, and then
Oh,
I
that's so
did
great.
organic marketing for the very first time. He said to publish on Facebook and do all these different things. And
Yeah.
for 6 days, I did that. And then I ended up closing, I had 10 sales calls the following week, and I closed seven of them on a $12,000 package. I made $84,000 in the next week,
What the
uh,
heck?
which was more than my entire annual salary when I was working at Uline, right? And so that changed my life. That was 5 years ago. And ever since then, I just kind of refined the process of what I did and then taught it to my students, used it for myself, made millions off of my Facebook profile since then, and then created our software to kind of turbocharge the process. So that's kind of like everything that happened in a
Mm.
nutshell of how I got to where I'm at today.
Geez, man. Well, that is a cool story.
Yeah.
Um, that's intriguing because I haven't really heard anyone in these interviews I've done. I haven't really heard anyone have such quick success in that way from like zero to $80,000. Normally, it's like I fell into this. It took me a while to figure it out. Made my first sale, later made a couple more sales, and I scaled up to this. So you have a really cool story. So
I think I
thanks
think
for
one of the
sharing
things,
that.
yeah, I think one of the things that like really worked to my benefit is I didn't know what was possible and what was not possible back then, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
You get so much knowledge, you fill it up, it's just like, oh yeah, you can't sell anything on a webinar for more than $2,000. Like that just becomes a okay, cool. That's a limiting belief you just developed, right?
until you do it.
But back then, exactly, back then, I didn't know. I was just like, I'm just gonna ask for this much money, and I'm gonna use the clothes that they used on me at Funnel Hacking Live on the phone, and I'm just gonna do this thing, right? And I'm just gonna do my Facebook Lives, and I don't care what other people are looking at and seeing me. Like I'm just like, this is what they told me to do, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
And so when you're so young like that, it's just like you just do because you don't know any better.
you're eager, ambitious. You don't know what the repercussions are. You just go for it.
Exactly. And then when you get the knowledge, all these different things, right? You have you formulate these beliefs that in some cases hold you back from doing the thing, right?
Crazy. So
Yeah.
I know you're doing a bunch of different things, but like, what's kind of the niche? Do you have a niche or a certain type of avatar you go after?
Yeah, I would say primarily it's in the world of marketing agencies and coaches, online coaches. So when I had my marketing agency, we had like about four different avatars and stuff like that as I continue to switch niches and everything like that. And then I finally settled
Okay.
on coaches. And I remember it was while I was actually doing the marketing services for one of my coaches that I
Mhm.
was working for. I would watch their video testimonials and how they changed and impacted lives and all these different things, right? And then I was like, that's pretty cool. And then because I was posting the success I was having as a marketing agency, a whole bunch of agency owners reached out to me and said, hey, can you help me out with this? I'm stuck here, right? And then I remember early on, like one of them reached out and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is so awesome. Like, I feel like I should pay you money for it, right? And then
Like, no, no, don't worry about it.
exactly, don't worry about it. And then other people like reached out and just said like, yeah, man, it's $25, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like $25 for an hour with me. I was just like, what? I was like, I just did. And then at $50 and $100 an hour, you know what I mean? Like, and now, yeah. So, and now we charge
You
a lot of
just
money and
right,
you
right.
get
Because
one.
well, now you just know what you're able to offer.
Yeah. And so that's actually how I became a coach as well. And I really loved the marketing agency world and stuff like that. So I would say on Limitless Agency is our mastermind. We really help marketing agencies scale to seven figures. But Pepper is a software that not just agencies can use. Really, pretty much anyone can use it so long as you can find your clients on Facebook. So if you can find your clients on Facebook, it's going to start conversations for you. It's going to help you navigate your leads inside of your messenger with the Pepper CRM
Yeah.
and be able to like formulate those conversations, book calls, make sales, everything like that. So agencies use it, but I think a large majority of online coaches, pretty much use the software as well.
Wow. So do you have a team or is it just you?
You know what? Yes, and I've been in a ton of masterminds and everything like that, but there was a point in my in our business that I had like I think 15 or 16 team members at one time, right? And we're making good money and we still are making very good money. But when I joined Sam Ovens Quantum Level Mastermind, right?
Mm.
Uh, I saw what he was doing, and he had consulting.com, and he also was building
Oh,
the software.
right.
Right? So I don't
Yeah.
know if you're familiar with the software he's building, school.com. But I remember the story he told where he was making, I think it was $30 million a year, and he had 50 employees, right? And then he was, crazy high amounts of stress, razor thin margins. And then in 1 year, he let go. He went from 50 employees and he just let everyone go and he kept six. So he went from 50 employees to six employees. He
Wow.
went from 30 million a year to 6 million a year. And yet now it's fun, it's cool, and he makes like 400 or $500,000 a month in profit, right? So
Right.
now it's like a really lean team with crazy high profit margins, and that's what I did for my business as well.
See,
So
I just
Pepper and Limitless Agency are both individual teams that are very lean, world-class team members, world-class people that I love to work with, and very profitable on both ends.
see that's cool because I just talked to Mike Mark actually right before I jumped on with you actually, and he mentioned that. I said, so what's kind of your revenue goal from today for the next 12 months? And he goes, I don't really have a revenue goal. I have a profit margin goal. I want to increase my profit margin, not my sales. And I was a little taken back. I was like, you don't normally get that kind of response or in-depth thought of sales, because sales typically means, well, I'm spending a lot. I'm not making a lot. So I need to make more, not
Mhm.
I need to spend less and make more of what I'm already making. And
Yes.
that the thing is what you just said was about you expand so you get a big team, but then you refine it and then you get just a lean small team.
Yeah. For me, it's
Like
been like,
Kylie Jenner's like that. She has whatever her makeup company is, but she has 15 people.
are you serious?
Yeah, I heard something like she only has like 15 people or something like that.
That's the craziest, coolest thing. For some
Yeah,
reason, like, when I just recently, I actually ended up because all of my money has been pretty much made through organic marketing on Facebook, right? So I would be posting content, doing stories and reels and posts and everything like that to get people on
yeah,
sales calls, all that stuff, right? And then I was like, okay, well, I really started to think about it, and I just said, okay, you know what? What do I want my life to look like? Right. And that's, what I learned this from, one of my coaches in the program, Grant Ellerton. He talks about a solvable problem, right? And he says, okay, cool. What exactly do you want your life to look like? Now we have to reverse engineer. I mean, this seems so simple, but we have to reverse engineer everything in your life and make the decisions that are going to lead to that outcome, right? And
yeah.
so when I realized that, I was just like, you know what? I don't want to just keep doing content constantly all the time and everything like that. Like I just don't want to be a slave to the content machine that I always
Mm.
have to do this. Like I can enjoy time with my family because it's always an opportunity to post it online and everything like that, right?
Like I can't. I gotta make a TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. And I bring this up because, when we're in social media and we're so ingrained into either Facebook or whatever your platform is, you're trying to impress people with the revenue goals and the milestones you've hit and the things that you've bought and
Oh,
all those
sure.
different things, right? And you formulate this idea in your mind that you have to keep growing. You have to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Why? To like keep up with the online Joneses, right? Of like this person is doing this much money a month, this person is doing this much money. But at the end of the day, what do you want? What do I want? Right? I know
That's a
exactly what I want.
that's a cool way to put it. See, like actually that's a cool way to put it. Because I feel like if you're an entrepreneur, now this is regardless of being self-reliant, I guess, or self-sufficient,
Mhm.
whatever. But I feel like if you're able to create something, offer it, sell it, or get a client and retain that client and make the service work for that client. If you're making $1,000 a month or 30,000 a year, just doing that, regardless of you're able to pay your bills or not, let's say, if you're making some sort of cash flow, I mean, technically you're a business owner and you're successful. It's working. You
Yeah.
just may not know how to scale it further than what it already is. And you might be doing everything manually, so not optimal, but you are technically in business.
Hmm.
At least you don't
Yep.
have anything and it's been 6 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So how many clients do you currently have?
So on Limitless Agency, we cap it out at 100. But for Pepper, it's been, I don't know, it's over like 3,000, probably at this point, it's like over like 3,600 people, customers on Pepper's side. So that's kind of like, you know, like I think there's over 1,000 people that, actively use a Pepper right now. And then, but like over the lifetime, some like 3,600 people, are like
Wow.
through Pepper and stuff like that.
So
So.
those are basically your customers, but like beyond that, like how much larger is your reach or your audience that you have?
Yeah, so good question. So like in terms of like followers and stuff like that, like I would say cumulatively, around probably in audience reach and stuff like that, probably 100,000 followers total, I would say, between our list and and followers on social media and different things like that. But a lot of it has come through, you know, um, just really strong connections I made in the space and stuff like that, right? Like Myron
Yeah.
Gold, Russell Brunson, and Alex Hormozy, and different, really, cool people that I've had the privilege of, working with and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. Alex Ramosi, I love his style.
Alex is the man. Yeah,
He's so
Alex is
cool. I know I
crazy.
got to get him on the podcast. I'm trying to reach out to him. Him and his
Yeah.
wife actually would be super
Yeah,
cool. But
he sold Gym Lunch recently, and so like now he's doing like acquisition.com and stuff like that, right? But
mm,
it's really cool because when he found out about Pepper, that's kind of how we met. When he found out about Pepper, he was just like, "Holy crap, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen." And he said, "I have to include it into Gym Launch," right? So we made a partnership and
that's awesome.
through that and stuff like that. So when somebody gets into Gym Launch, they come
They're using
across me.
Pepper. That's a pretty sweet partnership.
Yeah.
So what I know you're doing multiple things, but what's kind of your pricing model? And maybe more so for your coaching side of things. What's your pricing model? And do you have a value ladder? So like, do you have like a low offer to get people in? And do you kind of get them to a higher paid plan in the future?
Yeah, so the whole value ladder concept, right? I first heard about with Russell Brunson like way back when,
Mm,
and that's kind of like what I was chasing for a very long time. Like I'm gonna build this product, and then we're gonna upsell people into this product, and then we're gonna upsell people into this product, and it's gonna be glorious, right?
like $1 at a time.
But the reality of what I found was they're each individual. You don't really like no one really talks about this, right? But each new offer or each new product you create is like another business of its own because it has another avatar that is not making the same amount of money that the other one is. It has new sales messaging because they have different pain points. They have a different offer you have to create, the different deliverables that come along with that, right? So it's like really like another new business. And when I realized that, I realizing I was running 3 or 4 different races at a time. And so for the last 3 or 4 years, on the coaching side, right, we had CF Jedi Master, we had SMMA Success Secrets, we had 30K Agency, we had Inner Circle, and we had all these different price points of people coming up, right? And so only recently have we just gotten rid of it. And then we have now Limitless Agency Mastermind, which is really helping somebody start up a marketing agency
Yeah.
and scale it to 7 figures, right? And inside of that one piece of that one program solves all of the problems from start to finish, right? And so we've had crazy results with it. Like one of our clients, Demarcus, when he was in a pharmaceutical assistant, right? And so when we got on the phone and stuff like that, he saw a Facebook Live. We got on the phone, and then he was just like, "I don't even know what you do and stuff like that. What a marketing agency is. I don't know what a Facebook
Oh
pixel is.
yeah.
What the hell you're talking about, right? But I trust you, Franco, right?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna let you fail, right?" And
Yeah.
so 18 months later, he's making $120,000 a month in his marketing agency, not knowing a
Killer.
single thing to start, right? And so we had a whole bunch of like, success stories just like that, that we can take somebody through in the Limitless Agency Mastermind. But the beautiful thing about it is that we get that thing dialed in, right? So one of, my coaches, actually, there's 2 mentors that I have, right? But like one of them, Taki, just says like focus on the 5 ones, like until you get to $1 million, right? Like one channel one avatar, one product, one sales process, right? For 1 year, okay, until you get to $1 million, okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like cut out the value ladder, right? Do your one thing, and then once you get that dialed in, now we can add in one new offer, right? And then
Yeah.
you can take that and scale it to 10. Like it's really refining every single piece of your deliverables on that,
You know,
because sell over and over and over again.
that makes perfect sense to me. Dwayne the Rock Johnson says something like that, which I think is makes like total practical sense, which is the reason why people, I'm paraphrasing, the reason why people don't make success, I guess financially, I assume,
Yeah,
is because they focus on too many things. And
for sure.
so it's too, their efforts disperse. So there's not enough effort to really fund one idea to fruition.
Yeah.
So focus on one thing, do specific focuses in that one thing, not too broad and not too crazy. And then you make little jumps. And then over time, you made like 4 million jumps.
Yeah, I 100%, right? And so like I think what a lot of people fail to realize is because they absorb this content of like, oh, I have to create this value ladder and it's going to do this and this and this and all these different things, right? And then you're so focused on making everything excellent, making everything work, right? That you have a very small handful of people that will actually go through the process, right? As opposed to refining one thing and then getting it out there to the masses, right? There's 8
Mm,
billion people on the planet, right? And you've exhausted 0.0000001% of them that actually got into your one thing, right?
right.
So
So
instead, take
go
this
ahead.
one thing, make it amazing, and then push it as far as you can and as wide as you can to as many people that
Mm,
that the product actually solves the that solves the problem that other people are facing for, right?
and it's
And
not
just
diluted with other things dragging it back, like other too many
exactly,
too many packages or whatever it may
exactly.
be. So I think you may have answered this question already, but what's like the number one revenue? What's the number one thing that you do that just moves your revenue needle the most?
What a great question. I hate to say it, but I will because you asked. Because I don't want it to be this way, right? I don't want it to be this way, right?
Okay.
But the number one thing that moves the revenue needle for us the most, right, is my ability to build hype and do a launch on something. So if I wanted to, like for instance,
I mean, isn't that, it sounds like a good thing.
well, yes, but it requires me.
Oh,
That's the challenge. That's the problem, right? So like, yeah, if your business is constantly reliant upon launches, like, oh, I've got a new product or I've got a new sales angle, I've got a new message, or come and do this thing, or whatever the case is, right? Like I can do that, and I'm one of the best in the world at it, right? And we get a lot of people in a room, and I just like blow their freaking minds, and then give them an offer at the end. They're like, yes, let's go, right? Like I can do that,
well, I have a follow-up
but then
question for that, but continue.
but then but then I have to do it again, right? I have to do it again. And then I have to do it again and I have to do it again, right? So an example is for Pepper that it was an experiment, right? I was like, okay, all of my launches thus far has been on Facebook, right? I've done live videos, I've done stories, I'm just pushing. So like when I decide to do a launch, and if you're in my world, you're gonna get hit 7 million different ways, right? And you're gonna get excited and feel massive FOMO for not taking part in whatever it is that I'm offering, right? And so I tried to do an experiment last was it Black Friday, right? Last
Hmm.
November.
Uh-huh.
And it was Pepper. And I was just saying, you know what? I have this list. I'm just gonna hit the list, right? I'm just gonna write copy. So for the whole week, for one whole week of Black Friday week, I just said, you know what? Black Friday comes. I think I sent out 8 or 9 emails and then follow up emails over the weekend plus Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
So over a span of 4 or 5 days, I hit like maybe my audience, maybe 10 to to to, to 14 times probably. And those 14 emails, $90,000 just like that in a weekend. And I didn't have the thought to do it
It's incredible.
until the previous week. I was like, we should do something for Black Friday.
So
The
that's
previous
really
week.
that scenario. I mean, now I understand now why it's like it's unfortunate that you have to do it. I mean, you also made $100,000, so it's not that unfortunate. But I can see how
Yeah,
it's like hard to scale it because it's like you'd always have to be doing this.
exactly. And so the key is to create a systematic, reliable way of generating clients and customers on demand, right? And a systematic, reliable way. That means, and what I'm building right now, in March, I said, you know what? I'm going to stop doing Facebook content. I don't want like the solvable problem. I don't want my life to be like, I don't want to be the dancing monkey in front of, I want to be able to make, I want to be
Yeah.
able to make money because of my brain, not because of my mouth, right? And so I said, okay, every piece of, like for instance on Facebook, okay, I could spend an hour writing a Facebook post, and I know that when I publish that thing, I'm gonna get DMs. I'm gonna get the opportunities to jump on a sales call. People are gonna buy stuff. I know that, but I also know that in 3 days, that post is gonna be gone forever. And so the hour that I spent writing it, yes, I made money from it, but it's not replicatable. It dies
Right.
immediately, right?
Right.
Like in 3 days. So now what I'm creating, what I'm building is when somebody enters my world through like paid ads or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It could be organic or paid ads, but when somebody comes in, every single person is going to have a the same exact customer buying experience when they come in the door, and the launches are going to be embedded, through their journey, right? So all that stuff. So when I create one email
Mhm.
one time, a million people are going to see it over time because it's an evergreen piece of
Right.
content right?
Right. I see what you're
And
saying.
so that's the beauty and what you want your true marketing and sales process to be.
Franco, you're really thorough with everything. So like you keep answering the questions I have for you, which I think is super cool. But it seems like the strategies you use to like start the conversations, first of all, you want automated, but
Yeah.
starting conversations with customers seems to be coming from organic stuff, which you see that you have automated and the ads that you run. Is there any other channels that you're using to start conversations?
To start conversations, with people, it is and has been primarily Pepper and the paid ads that we're doing right now. So cold outreach, with Pepper,
Okay.
and then the paid ads. That's how we pretty much start conversations. And the beautiful thing about Pepper in particular is that whenever you're building, especially for people who are not necessarily so financially successful that they have cash, cash vault that they can just deploy on paid ads.
Yeah.
Usually when people are starting up their businesses, they have more time than money, right? And so the beauty behind Pepper is the way that we developed it is it's for those people because when you're first starting out, you got to use the resource you have, which is time, right? And but it's so time consuming to go into Facebook and to go and find the right people and send them friend requests and send them messages and then follow up with them and so on and so forth. It is just so time consuming that your entire days are spent inside of Facebook creating content or
Yes.
in Messenger,
Yes.
answering and responding to people. It's just so time consuming. So the beauty behind Pepper is that she automates all of that hard work for you. So you get the power of, paid ads for the price of organic, which is free. And now you can really focus in on the zones of genius that you actually do, which is creating your content or managing a conversation. Even those
Well,
conversations, she makes it so much easier.
right. And you said zones of genius. Now I heard a little something about you that you set a record for selling, like the most.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
forgive me, I kind of forget what forever it was, but it's like you sold the most something in a single seminar or something like that.
This goes back to what's the biggest revenue generator for you and needle mover in your business revenue wise. And it's those launches, right? So a couple years ago, we did my first ever live in-person event, right? And people had to pay $5,000 to be in the room, right? So now we had people come in, and we spent about $80,000 on that event. It was a 3-day event,
Mhm.
gorgeous mansion in Orlando. It was my first.
That
I
sounds
have
dope.
not have up until that point ever spoken live in front of an audience like that, right? Just been interviewed and stuff like that in this way, but that was our first. So I remember leading the event, being in a hot tub with my brother-in-law, and I was just on my phone. He was on my phone
Mhm.
watching YouTube videos of how to get over a fear of public speaking, right?
Okay.
So that was like what it was leading up to the event, and I had created 7 trainings that was never before seen on how somebody can get to 7 figures, right? And the whole
Yeah.
concept of this event was, you will never see somebody living a 7-figure life with a 5-figure mindset, right? And so, woven through these presentations, I had to level up people's brains so that when the offer came, they had to buy, and
Mm.
it worked. I sealed myself in a room for a month beforehand. We delivered these presentations live, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I had these hidden agendas woven throughout, like my stories and my analogies and illustrations I use and all these different things. And we leveled them up to have a seven-figure mindset, which meant that at the moment they were uncomfortable. If I can't, then I must, right? It's
yeah,
like you have to be able to push through the fear to get what you want on the
right.
other side, right? And so then I pitched, right? It was through a presentation called The Fire of the Future.
Mhm.
And it was like probably an hour and a half presentation that I gave. And it was a 18 to 20, it depends on your payment plan that you choose, but 18 to $24,000 offer. There was 24 people in the room, and we closed 23 of them, and it was a 95.8% conversion rate, which is a world record for the highest conversion rate at a live event.
Podcast over.
So,
That congratulations though.
yeah,
That's and you didn't
I
have
appreciate
prior experience
uh, public speaking, but
public
I
speaking.
knew all yeah, I knew all the things that I was gonna do, right? And I knew that it was gonna work. I remember I was sitting like literally here, and I was like writing out the outline and what the presentation is gonna be, and I was, oh, that's so good, and I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, I'm gonna close everybody.
Oh my God.
How is there anyone that is not going to buy this thing, right? And so I remember, but then the fear of like, oh shoot, like what if I totally bomb, right? And I was just like, man, I think we'll get 5 people, we'll get 10 people, like we'll
Oh,
at least make $100,000, right? And
that is unbelievable.
we ended up making close to $500,000. It was
Unbelievable. You must have had a huge party after that. I can imagine.
crazy.
So
And you know the craziest part about it was
go ahead.
is that we had a midnight mastermind. That's one of the bonuses. It's just like, look, if you buy, we're gonna have a midnight mastermind, right? And the midnight mastermind was essentially teaching them everything I did to them at this event that forced them to buy. And
And
I
you
broke
charge,
down my presentations to them
oh, genius.
that they just went through to get them to just like, this is how I just screwed with your brain and pulled levers and pushed buttons to get you to pull out your credit card and say
Oh
24.
my God.
And everybody loved it. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Unbelievable, dude. That's amazing. That
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
congratulations. That's super cool. So, yes or no, your most successful automation is Pepper that you use in your business.
Yes, 100%.
I
Mm-hmm.
figured you, I had a feeling. I was
Yeah.
like, based on what you said,
It's a little
it
biased.
seems
It's a
like
little
that is
biased.
the most predominant automated feature they have in your business that just seems to be working hands down. So when it comes to
100%.
building leads though, what kind of
Mm-hmm.
CRMs do you use?
So when it comes to like building leads, you mean?
Yeah,
Is that what
like
you
if you
said?
generate leads, you put them in a CRM system, something like that, like a pipe. You know, have you
Yeah.
ever heard of Pipe Drive or HubSpot, something like along those
Yeah.
lines?
So to generate leads, like we have a whole bunch of leads from paid ads and also from Pepper. Pepper has its own built-in CRM, right? Which is on Messenger, to makes it really easy to like,
There you go.
navigate your conversations that you're having inside of Facebook, because
Mhm.
Facebook, your leads that you have inside of Facebook, you can't really integrate with any other like, other CRM out there. It's very difficult to do so because of it's your organic personal profile, right?
Mhm.
And so Pepper has its own built-in CRM. But apart from that, like on the paid ad side, we use close.com. I don't know if you're familiar with Close.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I haven't
Yeah,
used them though, but I've heard of them.
we use Close. We like it a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's your method for retargeting? Is it primary? Well, I know you probably use Pepper for that. But what's kind of your main retargeting method that you use for your advertising?
Yeah, it's just mainly Facebook retargeting, but we're breaking into YouTube. This is my first step into the YouTube world and stuff like that. So I'm like working with Alaric Heck, if you're familiar with him, around
Yeah.
YouTube ads and everything like that. So that is probably going to be launched. in a few weeks from here. But there's going to be retargeting on that side as well. But right now it's primarily just through Facebook as retargeting. Or did you want me to get a little bit more granular on that, or
No,
what
I
are
mean
you thinking?
that's pretty clear. I mean, so like, what does your sales process look like? So let's say you run your prospecting, you get them on, and I know you want things automated. Like, are you doing sales calls? Are you doing Zoom, or
Me
how does that work?
personally, I don't do yeah, me personally, I don't do sales calls, but the way that it works is somebody comes in. Uh, so there's two, like, avenues of marketing, like, strategies in place for Pepper and for Limitless Agency. I'll talk
Yeah.
about Limitless Agency for a second here, before we get to Pepper. But for the marketing and sales process, the event that I actually just told you about, right? That 3D event, we turned it into a content portal, which is a free lead magnet, and we call it 7 trainings to 7 figures, right?
Ah, yeah.
And so now we're telling everybody, like, we're marketing to agency owners, and we're saying, like, look, these 7 trainings, people paid $5,000 to be in the room, right? And it changed their lives. These are the results of the attendees that have actually been there. Some of them have started off and they were struggling to get a few clients attend to that event. Anissa, for example, she joined, and she attended that event. Her husband didn't want to come. He was a police officer, and so she, like, forced him to come and be there and stuff like that, right? And he
Mhm.
spent 3 days there. 2 weeks later, after 14 years in the force, he actually quits. He was like a couple years away from a pension. He quits, goes all in on the agency with Anissa, right? And then, like, in a couple months later, she was able to, make $100,000 a month. And now I just got a text from her last month that she's at 300. She broke a record last month at $380,000 a month in her agency, right? And
Dude,
now they have a whole new life that they built, right? And like,
what a
so anyway,
risk for them to,
crazy. I know.
especially being a police officer. Like,
You understand? You understand? Like, the event, you will never see someone living a 7 figure life with a 5 figure mindset. Like, these people, like, I, I like, if you watch those trainings, your life is gonna level up.
did you
It's
record
like
that
a
event?
decade. I did, and that's where we actually created it. And I don't know if in the description you can have the link and stuff like that. People can
Yeah,
get in
I'm
for
gonna
free.
put all your info so people can find you in all the descriptions.
And also inside of that training, the 7 trains, 7 figures, you will actually see the world record breaking presentation actually closed all those clients,
I
and
need
you'll
to see
actually get
that.
to see it.
I need to see
Get
that.
them.
I think everyone listening are like, I need to see it. Show me,
Yeah.
Franco.
So for the marketing sales process, we actually give that away, right? And the reason we give that away is because every single person that watches that and then jumps on a sales call with us, they buy. It's very hard not to buy
But you have a
after
team
you have.
member taking care of the sales calls.
Exactly, right? So people get in there, and then we have a setter that, there's automation email sequence that goes through there. And this is like where all that, like, the copy and the content that I wrote and the embedded launches and all that stuff actually get in. So they get an automated email sequence. There's retargeting ads for Limitless Agency inside of the course. You get, you can see, like, on the sidebar, like, hey, you want us to help you scale to $100,000 a month. They see all the video testimonials, client results, et cetera, et cetera. One of our setters reaches out to them through text or cold call
Yeah.
or a warm call, right? And then says, hey, just want to make sure you got into the training okay, because we really want them to watch the trainings. And then, follows up with them in a couple days or 30 days later and says, hey, like, how's everything been? What's up with your agency? Blah, blah, blah. Looking to try to schedule a call. Then he gets into call with, and he actually does, this is real, this is true. It's not a salesperson. We have in our Limitless Agency Mastermind, we have a couple head coaches, and one of the head coaches actually takes these, and it's a agency scaling session, right? So it's a 45-minute where you tell me where you're at with your marketing agency, right? And we'll tell you what you need to do to get to your revenue goals in the fastest, easiest, and surest way
They must
possible.
love that.
Yeah, exactly. It's really awesome because the thing is that if you work with me, my team is going to spend time, and me and my team are going to spend time in your business, right? And that's why it's capped at 100 people, because we want to make sure we're working with the right people that we can actually get results for. We know we can get results for. So we vet these people. We provide a ton of value on that call, on that 45-minute call, to really help you understand where the barriers are and what's keeping you stuck. And so we can break through those things. And if it makes sense, we give an offer right at the end
See,
of it.
that's really difficult for new people starting a business because they just want to land everyone into their business. And they're like, why would I don't want to vet them? Like, I'm gonna say no, don't give me a check for $10,000. And like, well, yeah, because in the long run, it's not gonna be worth it. and you might not be able to
100%.
service them. And then if you can't
100%.
service them, you're going to get a bad rep on you if
Yeah,
you're starting off and it's just you. So
and it's not only that either. It's like, because this is a mastermind, well, that means that you are going to be connected with these people on a coaching call, right? And so if we have somebody that is a killer, and then we have somebody in that is a scrub, right? You
yeah,
bring them onto the coaching call, then it becomes no value for the killer
right.
to jump onto the coaching call. And if they don't come onto the coaching calls and they don't get the results they're looking for, right? Then they're not going to turn into that 7-figure case study that we need,
And
right?
you
So
can't build your credibility.
exactly, right? So this is why we do these agency scaling sessions, to see how coachable somebody is, how
Yeah,
intelligent, talented, resourceful somebody is, and then also how willing they are to do what's necessary to be able to get to their goals, right? Because sometimes what's necessary is not what you want to do, right?
no,
And that's where people get stuck,
definitely not.
right? They don't want to do the hard things that you must do. And this concept I learned from Myron Golden, be do have. You have to become the type of person that can actually do the things you must to get what you want out of life, right? And so you have to develop the identity that can actually do the things that are necessary to get what you want. And so many people say, I want this, but I'm not willing to do this to get that outcome. I think it's a
Right.
credit card swiping economy where I can just pay for something, and all of a
Sure.
sudden, magically, somebody can build my business for me, right? And I learned this from Tim Uchuk, like a really great friend of mine. You can't outsource your push-ups, right? You
Mm,
just can't do it.
that's a good
Okay,
point.
so sometimes you got to just roll your sleeves up and do the work.
Right. So I got to ask, how much revenue has your company made in the past 12 months? And whatever goal you have from today to 12 months later, um, where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So for us, in that same concept of, I've reframed my brain and my mind and my life and what I want, right? In the same Sam Ovens thing, which is in terms of the revenue, he went from 30 million to 6 million. So our company is about 1.2 million last year. And that's just that one company. Golden Eagle is another $1 million business that I have. But again, my ideal is that I can work 10 hours a week because of doing the things that I love, as opposed to, I really want the high profit margins that we talked about, right?
Yeah.
So our goal is to get to probably $300,000 a month. And then once we're at $300,000 a month, it's just capped, right? So,
Mm,
and then, yeah, and that's pretty much it, so that I can do what I want, right? Which
yeah.
is really get these 100 clients that we're working with amazing results, and just work with really really cool people, work with a small world-class team, right? And
Yeah.
pay them profit sharing, and then I just get to, it's
Spend
really
time with
cool,
your
bro,
family.
because exactly, I don't have to I was actually talking to one of my team members today, Thomas, about this, and we are talking about it this morning. And I've worked very, very hard to get our business to where it is today over the last 5 years. But for but now I don't feel like I have to work as hard, because I can hand off the sales process to one of our head coaches who actually takes those coaching calls. We have a setter on our team who is a freaking world class genius. And I just hand that part off onto him, and
Yeah.
then delivery, like, we hand that part off over to Thomas, and he just makes sure everything is going good and the clients are getting results and stuff like that, right? And I just show up to two coaching. We have 3 coaching calls total. We
Mhm.
also have Stephanie Blake. She's one of our coaches in the Limitless Agency Mastermind. She was asked to speak on at Funnel Hacking Live this year. She runs a multiple $1 million agency
Nice.
as well. Yeah, it's just, she's one of our coaches in the program, and I jump on the Wednesday masterminds and the Friday up level trainings, and everybody loves it. And so it's a systematized business, man,
That's
and
cool.
that's what I want. That's what I love. Yeah.
So like what
So when
if
you
but
add, here's the problem.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, here's the problem. It's like when you add more layers, when you take on more clients, when you do all the different things, right? Then by necessity, you have to add more team members, more training, more procedures, more options, more help, more everything, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes out of control spiral monster where never is enough, right? And so for me, I know exactly this is the whole mapping. This is like the mindset shift that I've had in my life. Whereas before I wanted to make $10 million, $100 million, it's just grow, 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 grow. But for me, it's just like, yo, I've got 3 kids, man.
Yeah, I understand.
I've got 3 kids, and I've built this business. We're building our dream home. I'll be moving in July,
Nice.
and we have no debt. And it's just like, yo, I just want to systematize this thing, man, and then just like,
Just be a dad and a husband.
and then
There.
yeah, do whatever, right?
So like,
So
so
anyway,
like, but see, that's really noble and that's cool. And I look up to stuff like that. But what's like the one thing you think you'd have to change to like get to that 300K? Like if there's one thing you're like, for sure, I have to.
it's not change; it's a matter of time. It's execution.
Because
Um,
you already
it's
have you already have what you need to get there.
Yeah, it's just a matter of doing it, right? So like for me, most people, especially if in they're like searching to like just grow, 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 grow,
Yeah.
right? Then they continue to add things. They continue to add things. They want to add swag. They want to add this event. They want to do this thing. They want to do this thing. They want to write a book.
Yeah.
They need to create this PDF. They want to do all these different things, right? They want to get on stage. They want to, get Forbes articles and all these different things, right? In an effort, right? Grow their social media following, et cetera, et cetera, in an effort to grow. And that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do if you want to get there, right? For me, and so the so the to-do list never gets smaller. For me, my to-do list is continuously getting smaller because when I cross something out, there's a finite goal at the end, right? There's a finite goal, which is the 300K,
Mhm.
right? A month. And there's just a matter of tweaking this thing, tweaking this piece of our script, tweaking this, tweaking this, tweaking this, refining every piece until every single, we call them dams and until every single piece of the marketing and sales process is refined and optimal and hitting KPIs on a consistent basis, right? And so
Right.
once we do that, and it's honestly just a matter of time or just putting more ad spend in, right? So right now, it's the retargeting. Excuse me.
No, me too.
It's retargeting ads. It's the email sequences. It's the YouTube channel and the YouTube ads. And then on the limitless agency side, and then that thing will be checked off because everything is working there. On Pepper side, it is figuring out how we can do retargeting because Facebook doesn't want
Oh, they
all that
changed.
stuff,
They've
right?
been
So we have to
changing a
figure out how
lot.
to weigh,
Yeah.
right? So so it's just a matter of doing the things I am doing already, just refining it, optimizing it, and everything like that. So I wouldn't say anything necessarily needs to change because I'm not trying to add something, or sometimes it just gets down to doing the work, right?
Understood.
So
Yeah.
Alex Ramosi recently just put out a video. He called it the anti-morning routine, and the concept was, man, this is gonna be good. I'm sorry, I have to take a.
No, that's fine. By the way, you got to send this to him and be like, dude, you got to jump on Daniel's podcast at DashClicks.
Okay.
Cool. Perfect.
Sorry,
That's all good. It's all good. I'm getting over a little cold too.
I gotta finish. I gotta finish the one point about what
Yes.
Alex Moses said about the anti morning routine, and he says that so many people want to learn what the most successful people in the world are doing for like a morning routine, right? So they can
Yeah.
add that in, and then the idea is, and what he's saying is the reason they're more successful isn't because of what they're doing, it's because of what they lack. Okay, they lack the things that you are doing. Okay, they are doing something.
Oh.
It's like you're doing this and they're not, right? And that's why. So instead of trying to figure out what they are doing to add it to your plate, okay, you need to cross out the crap that you are doing that isn't getting you to your end goal. And so the idea is so many people want to do more and more and more and more and this thing and this thing and this thing, right? When in fact, you should look at your life, you should look at your business and you're saying, well, what can I omit? What can I reduce? What can I
Oh, I see.
decrease? What
See,
can I get rid of?
that's that self-reflection that's difficult and I mean, it's difficult to look at yourself and be like, I gotta change this. Um, But
And
if you do, that's an amazing way to look at it. That's an amazing. I never.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, all that's left when you start crossing off the crap on your to-do list that isn't going to get you to your end goal,
Yeah.
all that's left is the work that will get you there. And that's where I'm at. And
That's
it's just a
incredible.
matter of time before that
Then you can
happens.
build another dream house.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
Franco, I got one more question for you. And just to give you context, again, everyone listening knows I say this on every single podcast because this is kind of your moment to answer this question I'm going to ask you, where it can really give some like deep insight and practical insight, because a lot of our listeners, we have a ton of different listeners. We have like successful agency owners, we have business owners like yourself that are doing really well, but we also have a lot of listeners that are just new, like wanting to get started. Maybe they already got started, but they're just sort of figuring it out. What's like the absolute number one tip that you could give to someone that either has a new business or is wanting to start a new business?
I have so many number one tips.
Maybe to clarify, maybe it would be like the number one tip to save them the most time.
Yeah. The number one tip to there's something that comes to my mind, and I don't know if it's the number one tip that I can give to save them the most time, right? But it's something that I wished I would have I would have learned or been presented with this
Yeah,
a long time ago, right? Because sorry.
that's fine. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. So many people they don't know how to replicate the success that they've had, and so they're just trying. It's like throwing darts at a dartboard, trying the next thing that comes across your podcast or your news feed or the next idea or the next ad that you read or the next PDF that you get your hands on, that give them the next big thing that's going to get them the result that they want, right? But ultimately, ancient marketing philosophy is boiled down into this one sentence: if you can get the right offer in front of the right person with the right message at the right time, you can make the sale 100% of the time. You'll never have to worry about money ever again. Those are the only four dials that you focus on, and to crack the code
Yeah.
where you can eventually see, extraordinary hockey stick growth in your business. It's those four dials, okay? It's the right. So if we just break those down really quickly, and my 7 trainings to 7 figures course spent 3 days going across this concept, and we broke down each of these four dials in its own presentation, and you can watch them in the description or whatever the case is, right? But the idea is this: right person, okay? You have to
Yeah.
make sure that you know your avatar, right? And you know the person you're serving. You understand. It's like you've intimately read their diary, right? And you know exactly the pain points and
That's a
the
good way to put
conversations
it.
that are happening there already. Okay, so it's the avatar. You know them intimately, and then you have to create an offer that actually solves a real world problem that they have. Okay, your offer has to solve a real world problem. If you can get over any objection in the world, you make the sale, right? So you'll make the sale 100% of the time if you can overcome every objection. Well, how do you overcome every objection, right? On the one side, it's emotional and logical. So on the one side, logical, they have a real world problem at the revenue level they find themselves in, okay, that they need a solution for, okay? Your offer has to meet that need, okay? But then the messaging, right message, you have to be able to deliver that sales messaging to them in a way that, and encompasses emotion and extracts their problems and their pain points. If you have, and I'm really summarizing here, but if you have if you have a pain that is going on that nobody knows about it, doctors can't figure it out, like no one understands it, right? And then a bum on the street comes by and says, "Oh wait, are you talking about the pain on your side that has a tingle starting up from your toes and stuff like that, and it comes in pulses and like fiery pulses like every Tuesday at 7 a.m., right? You talking about that one?" And you're like, "Yes, that's exactly it. Tell me how to fix it," right? He's like, "Oh yeah, I've had that. I can help you out." It doesn't matter if it's a bum, right? Like because the sales messaging is so potent, right?
That is a new way of me thinking about it. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
Yeah, you need to be able to figure out how to deliver your offer in such a powerful way, just like that, right? And then
Mhm.
ultimately at the right time, right? Sometimes it's the right person, it's the right message, it's the right offer. It's just bad timing. So how do we consistently create a lead nurturing system so that when somebody is ready to buy, they don't buy from Tommy that they heard, about like last Tuesday, right? They
Yeah.
buy from you that's been in front of their face since forever, right? You crack that code, and then that's where you see the overnight successes. It's people that have spent years trying to figure it out, and then all of a sudden they did one
Right.
last, and then
So get
boom. That's what.
obsessed with those four things.
Yes, that's all you have to focus on. If you just focus on those four things, like that's the you just replicate it, and then because
That's
it's really
amazing.
like there's five pillars of business, man: marketing, sales, delivery, operations, and team, right? So marketing, sales, and
Mhm.
delivery, these are all the revenue generating activities, right? And then systems and team are unfortunate, situations that you have to deal to actually support this stuff, right? So marketing and sales, that's all it is. It's bringing those people in, and those are the only four things that you need to do to be able to get clients and customers on demand, right? That's only four
I
things you need
see.
to work on.
I see.
Just tweak,
S-
tweak, 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 tweak until you crack the code.
that was really some good stuff. That was really great. I get the last thing I want to mention, and I think it's a good time to end is it sort of seems like once you figure those four things out, it's your sales become easy enough to where it's almost like a psychology thing where when someone you don't know this person, right? Someone goes, hi, and like sketchy, they drive up right next to you and like, hey, excuse me. Their windows are all tinted, it like smells a little
Yeah,
suspicious. Comes down and goes,
yeah,
hey, I'm trying to find this like hotel. It has like a penguin in front of it. Do you know where it is? And all of a sudden your guard goes down and you're like, oh dude, I got you. You're looking for the Penguin Hotel. It's like right around the corner. Just drive that way. Okay, thanks. And how long? And he's like, yeah, I'll, just keep driving. Turn, by the way, here's my number. Just text me. I'll like show you how to get there. Like that sort of uh trust of someone
yeah,
just asking you like, hey, can you help me? And you're like, oh, I would love to help you. It's
yeah.
almost that same attraction when you get those four things set. You can kind of get those um sort of those primal instincts to fire and you're like, this is what I need. I want to work with you.
Yeah.
That's sort of my odd analogy.
No, it's it's right. It's right, man. Yeah, yeah. It's you're and the beautiful thing about it is that once you do something one time, right? You can replicate it. I always say if you can do it one time, you can do it three times. If you do it three times, you can do it 10 times. If you do it 10 times, you can do it 100 times. So I remember
Good.
when Pepper,
Unlimited.
right? When I remember when Pepper was I got my very first, and we made a lot of money before Pepper and stuff like that, right? But when I got my very first $97 a month payment, that very first one, once we launched it, I
Oh
was
yeah.
like,
Stoked.
yes, you just made $1 million. Why?
Yeah.
Because it happened.
It
The
works.
one bill happened. That means that it's going to happen again and again and again and again and again, over and over and over again.
Exactly.
And I am the worst today that I'm ever going to be. Right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
things are only going to get easier. Things are just going to get easier and easier and easier and easier to
Yeah.
make the same amount of money. Right? It's like when we made $90,000 with the emails on Black Friday. I remember years ago, I did my very first webinar, and there was like 20 people on there. It was like 2.5 hours and everything like that, right? And then at the end of it, depressed because I looked at my Stripe, looked at my phone, nothing came through, and then
Oh,
all that, and then an hour later, I got a 997, right? I was like,
you're
my
like,
wife, I was just like,
what
and we
happened?
needed that we needed that for groceries. You know what I mean? And like now, I'll wake up and they'll be like, oh look, somebody just bought 897, right? Annual package for Pepper. I did nothing.
Yeah.
Somehow, somewhere they found it. They found a link somewhere, and they were
But
like,
you followed your four fundamentals.
exactly,
Incredible.
exactly. And then it becomes easy. It becomes easy. It becomes automatic. You just know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, Franco, I appreciate you coming on. I had a great time with you. I
Yeah,
think
me
you
too.
drop seriously, you dropped so much knowledge. I don't even have paper long enough to like keep track. Like people are gonna have to rewind this and like listen to it at a slower pace because there was so much good stuff in here. My mind was blown a few times for sure. But again, Franco, thank you again for coming on. We have Franco Urbaez of Pepper coming out of Pennsylvania. I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm happy to be here, bro. I love jamming out with this stuff.
Okay, awesome. Thanks again.
Talk soon.